All right, let's talk about climate resilience. It's a phrase you're going to hear a lot thanks to the new IFRS S2 standard. Now, if you're running a small or medium-sized business, you might just be thinking, okay, what does this actually mean for me? And how on earth am I supposed to comply? Well, the good news is it's not nearly as scary as it sounds. In fact, the whole thing is designed to be practical. So let's break it down together. So we're going to walk through 5 key steps to really demystify IFRS S2. We'll kick things off with the what, the core requirement. Then we'll get into the how, how to tailor it to your business and the practical steps to take. We'll even look at a super practical example for an SME. And we'll wrap up with that final piece of the puzzle, exactly what you need to report. First things first, let's get right to the heart of it. What is the standard actually asking for? This is the foundation for everything else we're going to cover, so it's really important to get this right. Okay, so what is climate resilience? Think of it less like a raincoat for a single storm and more like a whole wardrobe that's ready for any kind of weather. It's all about your company's ability to adapt its entire strategy, your operations, your business model, everything, to a climate that's changing. It's about being proactive and prepared, not just reacting when things happen. And here is the really crucial part. This isn't just a suggestion or a nice to have. Paragraph 22 makes this a mandatory part of your strategy disclosure. You have to use scenario analysis to test how resilient your business really is. But, and this is a really big but, how you do it is incredibly flexible. So we've established it's mandatory, but this is where it gets really interesting, especially for SMEs. The standard brings in this fantastic concept, the commensurate approach. And this is all about making the analysis fit your specific situation. This phrase right here is basically your permission slip to be practical. Commensurate just means your analysis should be proportional to your reality. The standard doesn't expect a local coffee shop to have the same resources and deep dive capabilities as a massive global shipping company. It just has to make sense for you. So how do you figure out what's commensurate? Well, the standard points to 2 main factors. First, what's your exposure? A farm that depends on predictable weather has very different risks than, say, a software company. And second, what skills and resources do you realistically have on hand right now? It's all about being honest about your capabilities. And this slide illustrates it perfectly. Look, on one side, if you're a huge company with major climate exposure and a big team of analysts, yeah, you're probably going to need some advanced quantitative modeling. But over on the other side, and this is for most SMEs, if you have lower exposure or limited resources, a much simpler qualitative approach is not just okay, it's completely appropriate and compliant. Okay, so you get it. Your approach needs to scale to fit your business. But how do you actually do the analysis? Let's break it down into 2 clear, totally manageable steps. Think of it like a recipe. It's really just 2 parts. First, you gather your ingredients. That's the information you're going to use for your analysis. And second, you choose your cooking method. That's how you're going to process all that information. And here's more great news, especially for SMEs. When it comes to your ingredients, you don't have to create anything from scratch. The standard actually encourages you to use what's already out there. Publicly available scenarios from credible sources like the IEA or the IPCC. The only trick is to pick the ones that are actually relevant to your business and where you operate. Now for your cooking method. Again, you don't need some complex 5-star piece of equipment. The standard is explicit. A simple, narrative-based approach where you just talk through what different climate futures could mean for your business is a totally valid way to do this. You don't need a team of data scientists and complex financial models to be compliant. All right, theory is one thing, but let's make this real. How would a typical SME actually put all these pieces together to comply with the standard without, breaking the bank or losing their minds? I wanted to put this quote right up on the screen because it's so important. This comes directly from the standard's own guidance. This is your official green light, confirming that a simpler, story-based approach is a completely legitimate way to meet the requirement if it fits your situation. So what does this look like in the real world? It could be as simple as this. You download a free climate scenario report, you get your key people together in a room, you start asking questions. Okay, if this scenario happens, what does it mean for our supply chain, for our customers, for our bottom line? You document that conversation. That's it. That's your analysis. It really can be that simple. So, you've done the analysis. Awesome. The final step is just reporting on it. Let's go over the specific bits of information you need to disclose to show everyone how you carried out your assessment. Think of this part like showing your work on a math test.
It's not enough to just write down the answer. You have to show how you got there. This helps investors and other stakeholders follow your thinking and have confidence in your conclusions.
This table is pretty much your reporting checklist. You'll need to say which scenarios you used and why they were relevant. You'll need to specify if you looked at transition risks, like new carbon taxes, or physical risks, like flooding. And, of course, you'll define the time horizons you were looking at, short, medium, and long term.
And beyond just the inputs, you also need to be transparent about your key assumptions. What did you assume about future government policies or the speed of new technology adoption? Laying these out helps everyone understand the context of your analysis.
So if there's one thing you take away from all this, let it be this. The IFRS S2 resilience assessment is not meant to be a burden. It's designed to be scalable, to be practical, and to be an iterative process. You can start small and get more sophisticated over time. The most important thing is just to get started. And that really leaves us with one final, powerful question to think about. Just forget the standard for a second and ask yourself this. Using what you've learned today, how does your current business strategy actually hold up in a world that's on a 1.5-degree pathway? The answer to that question, well, that's the real value of this whole exercise.